to minimize disruptions during our meeting. Thank you. The Commission is charged with regulating the subdivision property of the unincorporated areas of Jefferson County. The legal definition of subdivision is any division of land into two or more lots for the purpose of development or sale. A note of the agenda: the majority of cases involve division of property into 4 lots or less. Adjacent property owners of each division have been notified by mail. In addition, legal advertisements were published in newspaper or general circulation, and signs have been posted in the affected properties containing 5 or more lots. The Commission is also responsible for administering Jefferson County Comprehensive Plan and future land use amendments. The Commission evaluates rezoning cases for their consistency with planning and policies and zoning regulations as they pertain to the unincorporated areas of Jefferson County, and provide recommendations to the Jefferson County Commission, which makes the final decision. Property owners within 500 feet of each case subject property have been notified by mail. In addition, legal advertisements were published in a newspaper or general circulation, and signs have been posted on the affected properties. As part of our responsibilities, we conduct our proceedings in accordance with federal fair housing laws. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, family status, national origin, disability, financial status, or housing arrangements, ownership, or rental. The Commission is committed to ensuring fair, lawful, and equitable land use practices in all matters that come before us. At this time, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Jay Miller.
Present.
Cynthia Donald.
Present.
Patrick Gilbert.
Present.
Joseph Andrews.
Here.
Kenneth Cush.
Here.
Trudy Strain.
Present.
Kenny McMurray.
Here.
Steve Mira.
Here.
Edward Brown.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I will entertain a motion for adoption of the minutes from our previous meeting.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We now begin with the items of today's agenda. Each case will be presented individually with time allotted for public comment. For those wishing to speak, please approach the podium when recognized. State your name and address clearly for the record, and direct all comments towards the Commission. Let us begin. We're going to start off with Mr. Johnson presenting the consideration for the Forward Together Comprehensive Plan. Mr. Johnson, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and good afternoon, Commissioner. So I've got a presentation for you all in the public, everyone that's streaming, and I'm going to kind of wrap the comprehensive plan, land use map, and zoning ordinance into one presentation, since those items are synergistic with one another. So the purpose of a comprehensive plan for our sakes here at the Jefferson County is to delineate and design and plan for the unincorporated areas within Jefferson County. So just to be very specific to anyone that may have some confusion that's listening or in the audience, this plan just applies to the areas in our jurisdiction, which is unincorporated Jefferson County. That is areas outside of the city limits. It doesn't override or subvert anything that a city has on their books, and it doesn't apply there. The comprehensive plan, again, goals, policies, and implementation strategies for the county. The future land use map takes those goals and then spatially assigns areas within the county to where we feel like those make sense based off of the socioeconomic conditions, infrastructure, and other considerations. The zoning ordinance, which is also before you today, that is the regulations and the guidelines that enforces all that. Think of that as kind of the structure, a little more dry material, but it really is the backbone of both of those documents in terms of implementing them. So how we got here, this has been a process that's been for several years. Our last comprehensive update, I believe, was in 2008, so we've had several recessions since then, a housing bubble, a housing crash, and then another housing crash, and then here we are today. So the current comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance, which I think the zoning ordinance has been updated even less recently than the comprehensive plan, they're very outdated documents, and there's been a lot of trends emerge throughout we'll just call it the planning discipline, the American Planning Association, academia, that really aren't incorporated and wrapped into what we're doing here in the county. And so a lot of what we're trying to do with our comprehensive plan is catch up and hopefully innovate in some ways. And I do believe that we've done that. So it's the product of public involvement, online charrettes, design charrettes. So we met out in the communities within Jefferson County. We had 3 areas we particularly focused on around the Gardendale, Fultondale area, Forestdale, as well as McCalla, where we went out and got stakeholder results, got their feedback, had design charrettes. And again, it's also based off of those socioeconomic data, housing demand, environmental factors. And then we met with almost every city within Jefferson County, which was a fairly big lift, with the exception of maybe 3 or 4, to try and rope in what they've got on their books, explain our plan, and make sure that there's nothing that's conflicting with what we're proposing, what they've got, and that the plans support one another. As you all have seen, we've got a lot of areas within unincorporated Jefferson County that are kind of pockets that just never got annexed for whatever reason. They're usually in the PJ of another city like Hoover. And so we don't want to do anything in our plan that is antagonistic or doesn't support the overall efforts in those areas. So we took what we had on the books with the future land use map and said this is what we have currently and what we have planned for the areas that are, for all intents and purposes, in or around your city. So we also conducted a SWOT analysis in the plan. So some of the strengths within Jefferson County, we have very strong industries in Jefferson County, and that includes the medical industry, particularly with UAB. And we also have a diverse manufacturing base with a lot of the U.S. Steel. We've got Smuckers, a lot of good development that have kind of had good working class and middle class jobs, so that we're not just pigeonholed into one industry. And then we have good white collar, good blue collar employment in the county. We've got good multimodal transportation access for the most part. We move people and freights and goods and services pretty well within the county. Always could do better. And then we also have good employment destinations within and outside of the county. So one of the things we've noticed, while UAB and downtown Birmingham tend to be the hub of employment within the county, there's also a lot of reverse commuting going out to Tuscaloosa at Vance, and then in other areas down into Shelby County and places like that. So it's not just everyone coming into one downtown center, although it probably does feel like that on the interstate in the morning. Weaknesses, and some of these are weaknesses that are specific to Jefferson County, but then it's also what we're seeing nationwide in a lot of areas. So there's a lack of workforce housing. We have higher commute times on average on some of these arterials that we've got, particularly Highway 280, Interstate 65. There's a lack of sewer access in the county that really inhibits economic development in some ways. And then we need to really work on improving our public transportation access. So with our plan, that improving public transit is not just about getting the bus to come there, but also how do we get the people to the bus. So making sure that the development, the way the roads are laid out, the sidewalks, the infrastructure, the density supports long-term and future growth of transit within the county. We also have a lot of vacant and underdeveloped commercial space in the county, particularly in some of our disenfranchised or older communities. There's some vacant properties that haven't been renovated in some time. Opportunities for development within the county, we looked at mixed-use development, medium-density housing, which kind of falls back to workforce housing, which we'll elaborate on later. Targeted industrial recruitment that continues to diversify our local economy, but then also support existing industry. And then regional collaboration, so working with the cities within the county and also the other counties around us to make sure that we're all kind of planning and speaking on the same sheet of music. So again, we're not on an island in Jefferson County. The unincorporated area is definitely not. It encompasses almost every city, and making sure that we're planning accordingly. So threats are things that we really can't control, and those are things that you kind of just have to mitigate and work around or accept. Coordination among various cities, and it's not that there's a lack of coordination, it's just that there's so many cities, it becomes difficult to kind of get everybody under the same umbrella in a lot of areas. We have finite developable land, so that's one of the reasons why we see a lot of pressure on some of these sensitive areas is because there's just not that many buildable areas left in Jefferson County. A lot of it's encumbered by flood zones, steep slope, or it's so far away from infrastructure and interstate access that it's just cost prohibitive from a market standpoint to build there. Interstate and highway capacity, and in some ways that's kind of being addressed. There's some plans on the books to kind of widen 280. There's been some high-level talks about widening 65. But then also we've got suburban sprawl that sort of goes hand in hand with that. We don't necessarily have as big of a problem in Jefferson County, but we have other neighboring counties commuting in here to work, such as Shelby, Tuscaloosa, which adds to that traffic, even as far north as Coleman County. And then construction costs and interest rates, as we said earlier, interest rates went up, construction costs didn't go down. If they go down, that's kind of remains to be seen, but that tends to have an impact on the type of developments we see in terms of being a kind of a smaller building footprint than what would have been proposed back in 2020 when interest rates were 2.25% or something. So the strategic goals of the comprehensive plan, we want to develop activity centers, focus on economic development, workforce housing, making sure that we're preserving natural, recreational, and farmlands, and then improving transportation mobility within the county. So the central tenet, again, economic development. We want to increase the land that we have zoned and available, and hopefully that is site ready and shovel ready at some point for industrial development. That adds employment, it strengthens our economic base, it diversifies our economy. And we want to support the existing infrastructure we have with that. We want to leverage assets that we have that are really kind of underutilized, like Birminport, develop strategic sites such as the Northern Industrial Park, Jeff met McCullough, and then also improve transportation, and then look at existing developments that are kind of on their infancy, like UAB West, and how do we create industry clusters around those areas so that we've got the land use that supports the hospital and vice versa. So activity centers is a place type that you're going to hear me kind of go on about throughout this presentation, and it really boils down to a commercial area that has supportive residential and other supportive uses around it. So that can kind of run the gambit from a medical district, such as around UAB West, to something like in the city of Hoover, like Ross Bridge or the Preserve or Mount Laurel in Shelby County, where you've got commercial development that is walkable, kind of serves as a regional market, but then also as a destination in a lot of ways for people to go to restaurants. Also has some employment there that's not overwhelming, and kind of overall that medium density development. So this is a snapshot of sort of the housing demand in Jefferson County within the unincorporated and incorporated areas. So I'm not going to roll through all this, but suffice to say there is a housing shortage in Jefferson County. It's a housing shortage in several different submarkets within the county, within the incorporated areas, within the unincorporated areas, and across different income brackets. So we really want to open that up to make sure that we're providing housing. We believe housing is essential, it's a right within Jefferson County, and that we want to provide that for people. We want people to be able to own homes, to have equity, so that they're building up wealth, generational wealth, that they can leverage that for small businesses if that's something they want to do in the future, that they're not just caught in a perpetual cycle of rent if that's what they don't want to be in. So workforce housing, one of the things we've looked at is allowing, and some of this is based off of case history that we've gotten for variance requests, allowing for accessory dwelling units such as granny flats. Now that is to say we're allowing that for now for immediate family members, or proposing that for immediate family members. It's not to serve as something that you rent out to somebody that you put something on Craigslist for. We actually have caveats and contingencies in there for it to be on the same utility meter to try and propose that. And we can also have something like, a family affidavit to make sure that this is something that's for an elderly individual or a college student, and not a way to circumvent our regulations or what we want to see in the community. We also are proposing some more increased design standards with increased density. And the way that we're doing that is we're going to refer some of these more medium density housing developments to the PUD committee first before they go to the zoning committee and then the county commission. The idea with that is that to make sure that we're getting well-designed density within the county that has things like parks and common space, good architectural standards that are going to last and have some longevity from years to come, rather than just having something that just gets thrown out and then the developer kind of pot smoke and heads out. So we're making sure that we've got this medium density housing that we're proposing near transportation access, as well as major employment and transportation nodes. So we don't want to see some of this missing middle housing out in the periphery of the countryside. It makes sense where the schools can handle it, where the sewer's there, where the transportation access is there, and where it's proximate to employment destinations. So this is kind of a trend that's been going on for some time now in a lot of cities and counties to where they're allowing for more middle density housing. And the idea behind it is that the typical developments you'll see is the single family detached housing on one end of the spectrum and then the mid or the high rise apartments on the other. What's missing is some of the housing types you see in places like Southside, Homewood, Highland Park, even some places in Mountain Brook, where you've got cottage courts, townhomes, multiplexes, which is basically a low-rise multifamily development. And all these are still, in many instances, owner-occupied. They're not just rentals. And these are ways for people to kind of build generational wealth. Again, this can be a starter home. It can also be a home for someone who's retired, and that frees up inventory elsewhere, so that we're not just keeping people in the same house, making them, cut a yard on an acre that they really don't want it or have any business doing that anymore. So we're trying to free up the inventory in a lot of areas. Another thing with the comprehensive plan was natural, rural, and recreational space. Preserving natural areas is a big priority for the county. We've got a lot of environmentally sensitive areas, steep slopes, flood zones, areas that have wetlands and that are encumbered by those, and making sure that have adequate buffering in those areas, that we're designating those areas accordingly as natural areas, and that we're preserving them. One of the other things we've also came to light with the comprehensive plan was a lot of missing park space, and there's a demand for parks and recreational space in the county and in the unincorporated parts of the county. And one of the strategies that we're trying to do is make sure that our residential development has that kind of incentivized and covered, so that new development, when it comes in the county, has common space that's dedicated to parks. Mobility and transportation within the county. We want to create more walkable and connected communities. We also want to leverage, the interstate that's coming in, the Northern Beltline, making sure that we're maximizing the economic development potential around there. And then safe routes to schools. We've got a lot of areas that could be more walkable to the existing school systems and some of the schools that have been proposed in these areas, and ensuring that we've got a safe route to that. That's a big push from the county, and that we have good bus access, that we're not overwhelming our roadway networks. One of the things you'll also see in the zoning ordinance is what we're calling context-sensitive development. And basically what we're trying to do with that is ensure that we have the right road layouts, the right infrastructure, and the right overall land use context for what's being proposed. So you have your place types which are being proposed, which are kind of categorically these certain parameters and definitions for commercial and residential use, whereas the context sort of dictates best practices for how that's laid out in the ground. So we don't have a lot of urban core in the county other than really around this building and the couple of blocks around it, not a lot of high rises, but within the unincorporated district, we do have some urban general, and that ranges all the way from rural to natural in terms of the density and population. So really making sure that we've got a residential development, that it's well connected within itself, and then potentially developments around it, as well as any commercial that could come up. But also that we're not just doing residential development out in kind of the hinterlands and areas that really should be better preserved for green belts and natural conservation. So these are the place types that are being proposed within the comprehensive plan. Of course, natural area, that's fairly self-explanatory for the most part. That's undeveloped. Rural is farmland. Estate's going to be your larger lot, larger house type developments. Suburban is going to kind of be around that quarter to half acre type development place type. And then mixed residential is a new category that we've added to our palette, if you want to call it that. And that's going to be where these middle density, medium density housing types would fall under. So you're going to have various zoning categories that would hit one, or in some cases overlap with each one of these place types. On the commercial end of the spectrum, commercial corridor, that's going to be your typical strip center, more auto-centric type commercial development. Neighborhood center is going to be sort of like your village type development that's going to serve a more localized market with with some maybe restaurants, retail around it, not a major employment center or a lot of density, but just kind of think of something like Edgewood, Mountain Brook Village, areas like that where you've got kind of like a little commercial node that services just the immediate market area around it. Activity center is going to be a little bit more of an intense development. And that's a little bit kind of a catch-all term for what we see as major commercial activity. So something like Hallmark Farms with the Ag Center, not Jeff Met North, but UAB West, where you've got a major employment, major tourism area, and you're trying to kind of create some synergy with supportive land uses and traffic around that. And then employment center is going to be like Jeff Met North, where it's really just manufacturing and kind of a industry cluster we're trying to support with other like industries or other like raw material manufacturers. So future land use heights, this is just kind of going down a list and giving a real broad stroke of what we're proposing. Actually, I'm going to go to the next slide and talk about it. We went through parcel by parcel, which was a big lift, and I'm really thankful for my staff for the time they spent on this, of designating these areas. There were a lot of corrections that had to be made, and will still have to be made. There's no way to really get this 100% buttoned up, but we wanted to get it as right as possible before we came to you all. Let's start with the McCalla area. So that area obviously has had a lot of development pressure in the past. What we're looking at in that area is really just a mix of all these type of land uses for the most part. We want to see sort of those medium density residential developments near Jeff Met West, as well as around the hospital, so that you've got supportive workforce housing in those areas. And then the activity centers around those interstate interchanges, those major intersections, that's where we feel like those make sense. As you get to the periphery of McCalla and you start getting closer to Shelby County and around Helena, we sort of see that transition from the middle density residential to estate, larger lot, larger house, and then back into the rural and natural area place types. The northwestern part of the county, that's going to be largely due to geographic factors and terrain. That's largely going to be flood zone areas, steep slopes. Those areas are very difficult to develop, so we're just kind of preserving what's already out there and what will probably remain out there just due to market conditions and because of the complex engineering that would have to go to develop those sites. The mining communities, and I'm going to also include, Robinwood, Raymond Heights, Martintown, and those. We really looked at kind of an urban renewal focus in those areas. They've been historically disinvested into, so we designated those areas as mixed residential to kind of stabilize those communities and allow for a little bit more density, and hopefully the right developer to come in there and really shore those communities up, and hopefully we can get some employment proximate to those areas so that we can revitalize those areas and leverage the infrastructure that's already there and not see those communities become more abandoned or have more demolitions in those areas than we already have. Forestdale was another focus area that we talked about. And so really in Forestdale, what we looked at was trying to create some synergy on Cherry Avenue and Highway 78. We designated Highway 78 as an activity center, and also we're trying to figure out, where does it make sense to try and bring in, recruit, and enable employment in that area. So Highway 78 has seen some declining traffic counts over the past several years, and we really feel like the right supportive land use, given its proximity to everything, could really turn that area around. Cherry Avenue, we designated that would probably take a little bit of right-of-way improvement and widening at some point as neighborhood center, just to kind of create these two commercial strips between Highway 78 and Cherry Avenue, so that hopefully you can create some walkability between those two areas. Again, Forestdale is a big focus area for us. We feel like that area has a lot of potential. It's definitely seen better days in a lot of ways. But there's definitely a lot of good structure there. The people there are very passionate about seeing Forestdale turn around and have economic development in that area. So that's what we're really trying to enable. As you stretch up further north and get to 65 North, we're planning around the Mount Olive interchange for the Northern Belt Line. Those areas are labeled as neighborhood center. Jeff Met North is a employment center. Hallmark Farms we have as activity center, and then where the interchanges are planned for the Northern Belt Line, those are all also labeled activity centers. So we want to make sure that where those interchanges are planned at, that we're not permanently encumbering those areas with land uses that doesn't maximize the investment that's going into those areas. Making sure that we've got something that has high employment, good revenue stream for the county, and leveraging that investment that's coming to us. When you get over the mountain to the south of Red Mountains, some of the unincorporated pockets that we've got, a lot of that is just infill development, coordinating with the various cities that are already have already annexed most of those areas. So getting on to the zoning ordinance, we talked about that context-based approach. So one of the things in the zoning ordinance is to make sure that, when we have a site plan, when we have a rezoning request, that the road layout is also supportive of what's being proposed, that it's not just a bunch of cul-de-sacs with bulbs and then a speedway between all these different, bulbs that they've got proposed, really to create more connectivity within the county, which is lacking in a lot of areas. We want to increase design with increased density. So when we went back and we had the middle density housing that's being added, those are all going to be wrapped under the PUD committee before it comes to you all. Again, to make sure that it's well-designed communities that's, maximizing the development for the county. We want to enable more mixed-use developments and then also protect farming. We have a new zoning category we're proposing that's called the Agricultural Preservation District. The idea behind that is that where we do have sensitive farm areas, we want to make sure that we're preserving that. And for the farmers that want that zoning and they want to make sure that their property taxes aren't, blown up by surrounding residential development that may come in, that we can put those zoning categories in place, and that'll actually be true agricultural zoning and not just a 1 acre tract here and there. And then also planning around the northern belt line. So one of the things we are proposing in the zoning ordinance is that we're preserving the planned alignment of the northern belt line as it comes in, so that it's not busting up a neighborhood or busting up a development, or that we have a major employment center that an interchange is going to come through at some point. So that's the idea behind that, and then also maximizing the economic development that's around where those interchanges will go. And then on our admin review side of it, we also have increased provisions for traffic impact analysis. So one of the things you all have probably seen is, what's the traffic impact? That gets asked to you all a lot. And up until recently, we really haven't dove into that at the rezoning stage. With the new zoning ordinance, that's going to be something that we can add if it meets certain criteria to your staff reports. If it's a significant upzoning, or if it's a gross square footage increase of a certain amount, that'll be required, and then can certainly be curbed back in terms of the scope, depending on what the project is. We also want to make sure that we've got economic impact accounted for when we bring a rezoning request. And really more so is for industrial requests. So if we have a upzoning request and we've got something where it's zoned A1 and they're wanting to go industrial, one of the supportive items of that is how many people are you going to employ? What's the economic impact? Is that development within the existing industry clusters within the county? Does it support the existing industry clusters within the county? Because that all is something you all should be considering with your rezoning considerations. And then also looking at some of these private sewer management provisions we've got. We've had several controversial cases that have come up where we don't have a really good understanding of how these private systems are going to be managed. So there are some additional provisions in there for that. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation for all three of these documents. And if you've got any questions or if there's any public comment.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
This time I open up the floor for public comments or questions. If you're opposed to this, we'll make comments. Please come to the podium one at a time and state your name and address. Is anybody opposed to the land amendment, the comprehensive plan? Any opposition? Okay.
Yes, my name's, thank you for the presentation.
Yes, sir.
My name's Marshall Killingsworth. I live on 6177 Mountain Forest Drive. The planning process, actually, there was a survey. The meetings occurred back in 23, correct?
Yes, and then we had a couple in 20. We didn't have any in 24, right?
No. The meetings occurred in 23.
There's one talking in 24, right?
But we need to see what happened in that planning process. I'm in the McCalla area.
Yes, sir.
So it was basically a presentation, then there was a survey that occurred from the citizens. We filled out, those that filled out that information, we have never heard from that information since then. I have checked periodically for 2 years now, asking about I've even talked to Orion, the consultant, Bert Kuykendall. It seems it was a confusing issue for our community because we never heard any feedback. We've never been brought to the point of what impact did our input have on this process. So we're real interested in understanding more of that. Shouldn't there be, before this part, shouldn't there be a like situation back in those unincorporated communities? What happened as a result of our input?
So you're saying you would have wanted us to go back out and present those?
That was our understanding.
I believe that happened during the second design charrette, wasn't it? Because they went, did we took the survey results?
No. We've never been given results. We've never seen any of that result. And we're, in your presentation, brought out some really important parts of this. Unincorporated West Jefferson County is one of the most highly impacted. We're dealing with a situation right now that I've got major questions about. How did it come about? Matter of fact, I'm in a situation, I'm sure are aware of it. There's been a proposed data center in McCall.
It's investment, sir, just to caveat that.
Well, it's in my backyard, okay? It's massive. It will probably be a national referendum at some point pretty quickly. And your presentation talks about maintaining the natural areas, that type of thing. Let me just give you just a thumbnail of what this is about. I'm sure you know it already, but this is a $14.5 billion project. Has 18 buildings, 250,000 square feet per building. That equates to 4.5 million square feet. It'll be the third largest in the United States. It will be about half the size of the largest in the world, which is in China. And as a result of that, and preservation, I think, is important. We made that true because I look back at some of the survey results. A high percentage said that's critical to us. But yet, we're not preserving, and this 675 acres is a part of about 1,500 acres. And it has Valley Creek, 5 Mile Creek, Little Blue Creek, wetlands, and the topography has those ridges, and it basically sits in a bowl. But West Jefferson County is going to, if that were to happen, and we're trying to ensure it doesn't, if that happens in West Jefferson County will suffer immense loss. Why? Simply because, and it's called a hyperscale, simply because, you referenced, Mr. Johnson, water. This will use possibly 6 million gallons a day.
Mr. Killingsworth, excuse me just a minute. The data center you're talking about, that's in the city limits of Bessemer, is that correct?
Well, I had a question about that, too.
Okay, if it's in the city limits of Bessemer, as you know, we have no
That's
control
what I
over that.
understand.
Okay.
But I had a question about that. This process that we went through, where is it, Mr. Johnson, as far as its conclusion? Is it set in stone?
No, sir, it will be if they vote on it.
Well, I'd ask you then, please give us an opportunity, as the people that live in unincorporated Jefferson County, an opportunity to at least see what our survey results, the impact it had. If you go back and look at those, there's some of this that you presented is not really what the people said that they want. And is that not what a part of this is for the citizens of this county to have an input in the future? This plan will stay in effect for how long?
Until another one gets adopted.
Which is probably when?
Hopefully not longer than 10 years like we've done in the past.
But let's say 10 to 20 years. what will West Jefferson County be like? What are the real implications to my community that we're going to experience? I chose to live there. I've been in my residence for 42 years. I have seen, by choice, we chose that location because of what it is. It allows us to see those natural areas. It allows us to, and that's one of the focuses of my life for the last several years, is to enjoy. My street has people who've been there 50 years. And we're simply trying to look and see, well, we participated, but you never told us the results. You never gave us a chance to even understand, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about this process. And I just think it's a necessity for the citizens, not just in my part of the county, but northeast part, whatever, to see and ask questions specifically about where we're going in the future. And I just believe that's fair. I don't believe we're asking for anything that's not doable rather quickly. And as a result of that, let the people have a voice, but most of all, an understanding. I mean, I've got questions here. We could go on for quite a while because there's just a lot of things there that I even had a question of this nature. What is the process for annexation of Jefferson County land into a city?
Different from city to city.
That's governed by the state law. Yeah. That's entirely up to the city.
And I believe you've asked me that a few times, and I've given you the...
But this property is completely surrounded by Jefferson County property.
Again, if it's adjacent, the city can annex it by ordinance, or someone can petition to be annexed
To annex to,
the city.
okay. So the owner or whatever of the land asks for a request to
The owner can, and then there's another process by which the city can annex.
So we're going through now a process of rezoning is the request now.
The city of Bessemer
The city of Bessemer?
which has nothing to do with
Nothing to
anybody.
do with it.
No, I understand. But I'm trying to give you a picture of the process that you have made a presentation on.
That's not our process.
No. I misstated. The comprehensive plan of Jefferson County, our community is understanding, and we've asked for 2 years. Where is it? We've talked to the original company retained to do the survey. They could not answer it. Mr. Bert Kirkendall could never answer a single question. He left the company. We continued to ask. Just let us know something about this process. We've never been allowed to do that. And I just think it's just, I don't know whether it's legally or whatever, but if fiduciary, let's call it, responsibility for you folks in your consideration and deliberation, just back up one step and do that. Just back up one step. I looked through it and made numerous notes concerning. And there's some big issues here that you got feedback from the citizens, dealing with everything from sewer access to adequate utilities. We struggle today in West Jefferson County with fire hydrants. We had 85 fire hydrants inoperable, some of them for 15 years. We have water issues now. Sure, I talked to Warrior River Water. They say they can provide the water with major infrastructure change. But I'll give you an example. I saw a home burned because there's a water hydrant in their front yard by their mailbox, and it burned because they couldn't get a hydrant to put the fire out. I respect your decision. I respect you as citizens and people of Jefferson County, but there's issues I could go on and on. Jefferson County committed $500,000 to correct those 85 hydrants. What if there's 3 more out now and nobody repaired them? There's a process problem. Who will maintain those as a result of this? The local fire district should, but who missed the mark when the 15 years and 85 sat inoperable? I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. I can go on. I mean, and as a result of this survey, 100% considered storm management critical or necessary or important or more important.
Sorry, I got a question. So you have a copy, what survey are you referencing?
The survey supposedly that I got printed
So
off.
you do have access to it?
Well, yeah, I've after the attempt. But my question has been, when will we give the results back? When will our citizens see it? And I mean, I can continue, but my point is, why now? Why not just give us the courtesy as citizens of this county to see before we see a finished product? I mean, I unashamedly, I ask you, why?
Because it's not up to subject to a public vote. That's the reason why.
We're not after a public vote. We're after an informational courtesy.
And if you need that, I suggest you go to the county commission when it comes up for final vote and petition the commission. We don't get to enforce or enact. We just vote and submit it to the county commission.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
But
That's
why?
it. That's all.
Just to clarify that, this is the plan that's adopted by this board. Okay, that doesn't-
No, I understand. I'm asking you as a board to just simply say, would y'all give that courtesy to those citizens just to be made aware?
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Mr. Scobie?
So I didn't hear you, sir.
I'd like to just make an address to the concerns.
Absolutely.
Still in the law.
Yeah.
I share your concerns. As a resident of Jefferson County, I completely understand. We need to know what's going on and what it is that we're backing so that we can best plan for ourselves and our families and our communities. I cannot speak explicitly to your experience, but I can speak to mine. In this case, that multiple meetings were conducted, thankfully, in my area. In addition, the information that, as the process has been developed for a comprehensive development plan to replace the current one, which has been in effect for more than 20 years and has been deficient in many areas, which is why it has to be replaced. That process, thankfully for me, was very transparent. And I'm thankful that many of the community members in my area were very deliberate about asking those questions and bringing it back. In for instance, in my community, we meet monthly. And each time there was an update, we had an individual who was responsible for telling us what's going on. I encourage you, as our fellow commissioner said, you and I, and us, have to stay engaged with our commissioners because they're the ones that we have appointed to make these decisions for us, ultimately. Secondly, before that, we've got to stay engaged with ourselves, especially within our communities. I will not rely on just on my commission. I speak to my fellow neighbors. We deliberately find out, just as you were doing. And the answer of no or I don't know, well, for us, we keep digging. I encourage you to do that, and that's for all of us.
Believe me, we're doing that.
It sounds like you are. It sounds like
And
you're
for 2 years, Mr. Brown, I have sought out the county to give me information, and I've never received it.
Sounds like we got an opportunity to do better.
Absolutely. Well said.
Sir, I'm just a little bit confused, because you and I have had several calls since I've been here at the brief time, and I've given you all the information that I had, and somehow you're saying you didn't have the survey results, but you do have some survey results from somewhere. We also sent out a email blast to everyone that filled out the online survey, with every piece of contact information that we had, with the draft of the comprehensive plan. The draft of the comprehensive plan within the appendix has all the survey results, where the plan was derived from. So I guess please help you in terms of what else you feel like you needed, or that others needed.
The courtesy of a response back to a community setting, just like we did at McAdory High School, a community setting that says, here's what you participated in.
Mr. Kellerworth, let me get you to stay by the podium, please.
Sir?
Stay by the podium so we can
I'm
hear
sorry.
you. Yeah.
I'm one of those that have to move. But that's all. Because here's the question, and I ask you, how many people are in the unincorporated Jefferson County? McAdory, the community I live, it probably represents about 15,000, I think, of that. I believe that's correct. But out of, correct me if I'm wrong, out of that survey, how many people participated in the survey?
I want to say we had, depends on the survey, because there were multiple that went out. We didn't have the same number of participants for each survey item. All that's in the comprehensive plan.
That's a question in itself. Is there a survey for West Jefferson County? A survey for say, Pinson, wherever? Or is that I consider it was told, I think, by Kuykendall that it was a consolidated survey result.
The design charrettes were regional. We went out and met at McCall High School. We met with the community. Those participants were there, and we asked them, how do you want McCall, for instance, in that instance to look? We went to Forestdale. How do you want Forestdale to look? What are your recommendations for Forestdale? We had an architect on there that was doing all those items. Those were all based off that survey results, plus the comments and the feedback that we were getting while we were here.
Well, the reason I asked these questions, I printed this yesterday because I kept trying to get to it. The best I have seen, there's 135 people participating in the survey. 135 people. Showed 130. I don't know those people. I know me. I know what I said. And there's a lot of things in this presentation that really doesn't apply to a McCall where I live. But should we base a decision of this magnitude for this length of time off of 135 people? I could quote you right here.
Mr. Kellerworth, I'm going to have to call time on you. We allow 15 minutes, and I've allowed you to go a little bit over that because of your information.
And I appreciate that.
Okay. Well,
Because
thanks,
it's
sir.
that critical, Mr.
Well,
Bell.
let me encourage you to stay in touch with Mr. Stevens, your county commissioner.
Yes, sir.
And absolutely go visit him or call him, and he'll be glad to help you with all that. But our duty here is to either send it to them or not send it to them. It's their final approval.
But I just consider the process that we're
Yes, sir.
in your deliberation and your decision making. Surely this is not to the point we can't just back up one step and do the courtesy to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kellerworth.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hate to break the news to everybody, but Mr. Kellerworth has used all the time allowed is the 15 minutes. Has anybody else got anything different they would like to add? I will go ahead and accept that. Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the commission?
I want to.
Yes, sir.
I do want to. So the one, because one of the things we do is we go through these, even with those rezoning cases, we want to make sure that we're giving you any written feedback that we have on the comprehensive plan. So when the email blast went out to all the participants, and when the link was sent out on all the county social media, I believe we received one email response back from an individual in Vestavia of the however many people saw it, probably a pretty large number, and their response was they don't want to vote They vote no, is what they said. So we did receive one additional response, and that is, aside from Mr. Killingsworth, that is the only feedback we have received on the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Is that the letter we have in our folder?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
And just
Yes, Mr. Brown.
caveat with Director Johnson has said, and to add a layer or extra dimension to what already has been said with regard to Orion Planning Design. And Director Johnson and I, we've also spoken about this. So this is a new news. But when a comprehensive plan is developed, it is developed on a macro analysis scale. When it comes to a neighborhood level, and I think Mr. Director Johnson wants to do more of this, and we have talked to Forestdale and the Forestdale president about a neighborhood scale plan for them. And we could also do, and I believe it's Director Johnson's intention to do a micro analysis and neighborhood scale plan for not just Forestdale, but also for the McCalla community. Again, Orion Planning Design, they prepared the comprehensive plan. It was prepared on a macro level, not a micro level. My position as principal planner with the county, I will be engaging with the community very soon, and you'll start to see more and more neighborhood level plans come out of the Department of Development Services. And that's my only comment, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any comments, questions for the commission? This time I close the public hearing and I call for a motion, please, on the consideration of the forward together comprehensive plan and consideration of proposed amendments to the Jefferson County zoning resolution. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the comprehensive plan as presented.
Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
you have to do a separate motion. to
Separate vote?
recommend-
Okay, okay.
To recommend the zoning ordinance to the county commission.
Yes.
It's all right, the Strange motion just addressed the comprehensive plan, but we'll just need a separate motion for the zoning
Okay.
amendments.
I'd like an amendment on the motion to consider, for adoption, of consideration of proposed amendments to the Jefferson County zoning and resolution. Can I have a motion, please? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All opposed, I'm sorry. Motion carries. Thank you. Y'all are welcome to leave after your cases have been heard, unless you want to stay around and listen to us. Thank you, Mr. Killingworth. Appreciate your input. First, we'll hear subdivision cases. We will announce each case separately. We will then call for opposition. The applicant and their representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. The first case is case number S25-0041. The applicant is Jeffrey Lucas. It's Patel's addition to Hoover, one lot proposed. The address is 1901 and 1905 Patton Chapel Road in the Hoover community. Is the applicant here? You just raise your hand. Is the applicant here? Is there any opposition to this case? I can't see. Is the applicant here?
No. It's
Okay. This time I call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I was going to say, I recommend approval for S250041.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next subdivision case is S25-0047. The applicant is Rodney Levan. Rodney Levan's resurvey of two lots proposed. This is in a corner community. Address 8900 and 8912 Morning Glory Trail. Mr. Levan, are you here? The applicant here. Is there any opposition to this case? This time I call for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval for S250047.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is S25-0049. The applicant is Steve Allen. The request from Molina Esteas I hope I got your name right. It's 2 lots proposed. This is in the Trussville community at 7898 McIntyre Road. Is the applicant here? Is there any in opposition to this case? I see none. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval for S250049.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Our next case is subdivision case S25-0050. The applicant is Steve Wilson. This is Wilson's addition to corner, 2 lots proposed. The address is 3008 Corner Road. Is the applicant here? Is there any opposition to this case? Mr. Wilson, do you wish to add anything to your application?
No, and I'm not the applicant, I'm the surveyor.
Okay. Do you wish to add anything to this? Okay. At this time, I call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval for S250050.
I have a second, please. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Our next case is S25-0051. The applicant is Brooke Russell. This is a Square Ridge, 4 lots proposed. The address is 3500 Square Lane, Cobb Heights community. Is the applicant here? Is there any opposition to this case?
Not necessarily opposition, but I have some questions.
Okay, you come to the podium, please, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. State your name and address, please, for us.
Hey, my name is Marissa Hudson, 1512 Oak Leaf Trail. We're the neighborhood that backs up to it, and I run the HOA for that area. We just don't know about how the lots are going to be divided. We don't know anything about the size. Didn't see any stakes out there, so just had some questions about that.
Okay, what are your questions?
Well, how many lots? What size are each of the lots going to be? That kind of detail.
Okay. Mr. Russell, could you come please answer questions? Have a seat for me and let him answer your questions.
Okay.
Did you hear her questions? Did you hear her questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you answer them for her?
Is
Did you come to the podium, state your name, your name and address, please? Five one. Okay, Mr. Russell, go ahead. Just
Brooke
name your
Russell.
name and address.
Brooke Russell, 3516 Squire Lane. This property is adjacent to where I live. And we're basically, it's about 4.8 acres. And we're just putting 4 lots on there. One of them is 2 acres. The other ones are just a little bit under an acre. All the houses are going to be towards the back of the lot. So where I live, you basically cannot see where I live. And our goal is to have as many trees on the property and as little disturbance to the natural area. That is our goal. That's where I live. I mean, I'm surprised my wife isn't sitting there next to you. And that's basically what we're doing. And the range of our houses, we're trying to keep them no less than 1.5 billion. So 1.5 to 2.5 to 3 is our goal.
Okay, and I appreciate that. But towards the back of the lots,
Ms. Hudson, I need you to come to the podium so we can all hear you, please. Right here, step aside.
towards the back of those lots is our property. So I guess we're just concerned if you're pushing the houses away from the street, you're pushing them closer to our area, right?
Where are you? Where are you? Are
I
you on
am,
Gresham Drive?
yes.
Okay.
No, I'm not on Gresham. That would be here. This house is still on Gresham. We're right here.
Gotcha.
And then these houses up here are on the other side of Oak Leaf Trail.
Right.
So these two houses would be the ones that would back up. If you're pushing
Can we both
this
be at the
back.
podium? This is one house here,
Uh-huh.
and then one house. But I'm not sure what the setbacks are, but
It's a minimum of 50 feet.
so minimum of 50 feet. And our goal is to not see any neighbors. I don't see any neighbors, and anyone that's living here is not going to want to see neighbors.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Okay.
and we'll talk.
Okay,
We're here to, I mean, do whatever we can to keep everybody happy.
okay. And this street, like this house that's back here, the brick house
Yes,
that's at
ma'am.
the end of the street
Yes,
would
ma'am.
be this lot here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate
Okay,
it.
both of you stay right there. Just a minute. Both of you stay right there. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Mr. Russell, where does Squire Lane feed off of?
Dolly Ridge Road.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got it.
Okay.
You're close to 280 then.
Yes, sir.
Any more comments or questions for anybody? Okay, y'all have a seat. Thank you. At this time, I call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval for S250051.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Our next case is S25-0052. The applicant is Nabi. Okay, you're here. This is, the address is, this one lot proposed, 219 3rd Street, Tarrant. Is there any opposition to this case? Yes, sir. If you come forward, please, to the podium, state your name and address, please.
My name is Kenneth Battle. I'm the pastor and DBA of a church, Christ Ministries, adjacent to the property that's being that is being talked about.
Yes, sir.
And I just really want to know what's it's going to be used for, what's going on with it. I don't think I know anything about it, even to report to the congregation about it.
That's what the address.
202nd Street.
Is that your concern, sir?
Yes, we just like to know what's going on or how, I don't know anything about it, so I'm just here to find out.
Okay, if you have a seat, let the applicant come up. He can answer your questions for you. Are you aware of his concerns?
Hey,
Okay.
my name is Nabil Al-Jaya. It's a pleasure being here. So this one, it's right now it's a commercial zone, and right now it's a car dealer. So we fence it, and we are using like a small car dealer, used car dealer, and right now it's operating, and we're trying to make it like one combined lot. That's it right now. Instead of it's having all these, we'll make it one lot. Because down the road, probably we're gonna do like the gazebo, just to shade when the guys they are cleaning cars or something. It will be instead under the sun, so they will have some cover from the sun or from the rain.
Okay.
That's it.
And you're aware of this regulations for C1 commercial?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Does that answer your question, sir? I need you to come forward.
And I would just kind of like to know if there will be like extra cars around, like there won't be any
No
old
outside, no old car, no outside. Everything will be inside. All the cars, it will be 2015 plus.
Okay.
Yes. And low mileage. That's what we're trying to bring something. I'm from Houston, Texas. When I came first time here to meet my uncle, so I was looking for a car. There was two options. I have to go with the big car dealer where they're going to charge like full price because they have 2024 plus and they have to pay a lot of money, or I have to go with the low car dealer that they're going to sell me a car where it's have a Christmas tree colored on the dash, and I'm not sure if it's going to take me from point A to point B for like mid and low. I wasn't that level, mid-low person, and it was like for me struggling, buying a car, break down the road. So I have that idea. I want to build something like right now I have, if you can see, I have 6 cars or 7 cars on the lot. Only one posted for sale because the 6, I'm not going to sell it until it's passed the full inspection, full service, like literally full service, then I will post it for sale. If it's have any kind of issue, I don't want to sell it. I don't want to put, I'm treating the people like they are my family. If I'm going to take my family in this vehicle, I'm going to sell it. I'm not gonna risk anybody's life, even to make money. It's a passion for me. It's not a business just to make. I'm doing good. Because right now, all the cars that I posted, it sell within 2-3 days. Why? Because full service history from me, not from the previous owner. I don't look for the previous owner, what he did or what he did. I take it personally, I inspect it, I do full service, then I resell it. If it's not that process done, I don't post it for sale.
Okay.
Like you can check our website, you're going to see in the lot, like there is 7 cars, only 1 posted for sale.
Not a bunch of cars, though.
Yeah, no all cars. I want something like to sell something available for affordable.
I think the main concern is you're going to be a good neighbor and abide by the regulations.
Yes,
That's
sir.
simple.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pastor get a special deal?
Nabil.
Thank you. That's the first.
That's a good one.
Okay. Any questions or concerns from the commission? You'll sell your car. Okay. This time I close the public hearing. I call for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval for S250052.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Y'all have a good time. Our next case is S25-0054. Applicant is Keith Quinn. It's Quinn's addition to corner to lot proposed 9722 Corner School Road. Is Mr. Quinn here? Is any opposition to this case? Okay. Any questions, concerns from the commission? This time I call for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval for S250054 with an exception to the subdivision regulations to allow Lot 1 to be recorded with no road frontage.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will hear zoning cases. Staff will present the case to the board, and we will then call for opposition. The applicant and/or their representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. Each side will have a maximum of 15 minutes. The Planning Commission only makes recommendations on zoning cases. The Jefferson County Commission will make the final decision. Mr. Brown, you please present the first case, Z25-0023.
Z2522, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, 22, I'm sorry.
So this is a request of Ms. Yasmin Kimmon to rezone the property at 2940 Shannon Winona Road from R6 single family to C1 commercial to allow a warehouse and car detail shop. The future land use plan identifies this property as general transition or mixed use. I believe it has a different category now that you've adopted the future land use map, which would be commercial corridor. To the right is the county's zoning map, which again shows you the properties R6. Across Shannon Winona Road within the Birmingham jurisdiction, that property has an MXD or mixed use zoning classification and a land use category of mixed use medium, which allows land uses up to light industrial, as well as to the east and south. The existing land use conditions, this property is within the Shades Creek watershed. The soils present are townly Nauvoo soils, which are not suitable for residential uses because it has a high water table. The land is flat. Within this particular census block, there are only 11 residents. To the right is an aerial map. It shows you that to the east is public storage warehouse. To the west, on the opposite side of Shannon Winona Road, near the Lake Shore Boulevard interchange where Shannon Winona Road intersects Lakeshore, is Publix, but also Lakeshore Plaza. This is an aerial bird's eye view of the site, more of a regional view, if you will. To the bottom of the aerial is Lakeshore Boulevard and Shannon Winona. You see Publix here, Lakeshore Plaza, public storage, and then the applicant's site, 2940 Winona Road, is here, located at that location. Here's the applicant's conceptual site plan. It's showing you an 8,000 square foot warehouse building with approximately 12 off-street parking spaces. This is conceptual design that the applicant has bought into, and I'm told the proposed development will look similar, if not the same, as this conceptual design. And Ms. Kimmon is here to speak to her development proposal. herself. Staff is recommending approval based upon the following. From R6 to C1 is an upzoning request. Shannon Winona Road, according to ALDOT, is a major collector right-of-way. The proposed use would generate approximately 25 trips per day, meaning it would have minimal impact on the adjoining right-of-way. The site was previously occupied by a dilapidated residential structure, and that structure has been torn down. Again, the soils are not suitable for residential uses due to the high water table. The development intends to take advantage of a previously deteriorating or declining area and replacing it with an economically reinvigorating proposed viable commercial/industrial use. Staff again is recommending approval, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Is there any opposition to this case? This property is located 2940 Shannon Winona Road in the Bessemer area. Any opposition to this case? Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners? Is the applicant here? You come to the podium just a minute, please. You state your name and address.
2940 Shannon Winona Road, Bessemer 35022. Yasmin Shamin.
Let me ask you this. You saw the site plan that Mr. Brown proposed. Is that what you're willing to?
Yes, I already talked to the contractor, and he agreed on doing like that, the same, similar.
Okay, if there's any major changes, you have to come back for us for approval, but we'll go ahead and accept that as yours. Is that going to be okay?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the commission? This time I call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like a motion for the approval of case number Z25-0022.
I have a motion. I have a second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one remaining item on the docket for today. It's a special use permit request. Property owner is Love City Church. The address is 2349 Forest Hill Boulevard. It's regarding a special use for a sign. Ms. Picasso, could you present the case, please?
Yes, sir. The applicant is requesting that the Planning and Zoning Commission grants them a special use permit to allow a electronic message center sign to be located on a road that's not designated as a state or U.S. highway, and that said sign also be located less than 300 feet to a residential zone district. Here what I have showing is the existing sign to the left. We have a church here that's actually under new ownership. To the left shows the existing church, the Westwood Baptist Church, and to the right shows what's being proposed as the new church. Sign 2 would be the electronic message center sign. If you look here to the left, is zone institutional, and a electronic message center sign cannot be less than 300 feet from a residential zone district. The R2 zone district, which is right across Forest Hill Boulevard, is a residential zone district, as well as the zone district to the south of this property. To the left, you see the measurements. The applicant, what was submitted, is showing that the sign is approximately 41 feet from the residential zone district, which is less than what we require. The Planning and Zoning Commission is only allowed to approve anything less than 300 feet, but not less than 100 feet. So that will have to go before the Board of Zoning Adjustment. The applicant has already applied for a variance on that. The existing land use for this property that's across Forest Hill Boulevard is vacant, undeveloped property. It's just trees and overgrown grass. Just want to show you guys that. These are the signs. Staff is recommending approval with the condition that a variance is granted by the Board of Zoning Adjustment to allow the electronic message center sign to be located less than 100 feet from a residential zone district. That's all that I have.
Is the applicant here? Are you Mr. Robinson? Can you come forward, please? Does the commission have any questions or comments for Mr. Robinson? Okay, I do. Are you going to put a dimmer or a time switch on that sign? I know there's not a lot of traffic right through there coming off Interstate at night, but any?
Well, we typically don't put timers on electronic message centers, but if that's a requirement, we can do that.
Well, like I see, a dimmer switch, we require it on most of them at a certain time lights go dim. It's still on, but it's a dimmer light.
Yes, sir.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, what time would you recommend it for the church?
Well, we got questions over here.
Huh?
The ordinance requires it to be off.
Oh, it does? Okay, okay. Just abide by the ordinance, we're good. Sorry. Any questions or comments from the commission? Okay. Anything you'd like to add to this?
No, sir.
Okay, no opposition? Okay, this time I call for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval, case number 2500113.
I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, exceptional, with, did you have questions about the conditions?
No, okay. That condition is required by the ordinance, included on the.
What's wrong, Jim?
This time, this concludes our meeting. It is adjourned. You may go home. Thank you.